This is a movie every horror fan must watch. Directed by horror mastermind James Wan. Rated over 8.2 by hundreds of thousands of viewers. This is Insidious, Chapter 2. And it is considered one of the most terrifying horror films ever made. The story begins years ago. A young boy named Josh had a strange ability. Whenever he fell asleep, his soul would leave his body. At first, his mother thought he was just dreaming. But then she noticed something horrifying. In every recent photograph of Josh, a dark figure appeared behind him, a woman dressed in a black wedding gown. That was the moment she realized this wasn't a dream. Something was following her son, and it wasn't human. Desperate for help, she called a psychic named Elise. Elise hypnotized Josh and tried to trace the entity back to its source. She entered his bedroom, thinking the spirit might be hiding under the bed, but when she looked, nothing. Then suddenly, the closet door slowly creaked open behind her. Elise knew. It was inside. As she stepped closer, the entity attacked her, and for the first time in her career, Elise looked truly afraid. She warned Josh's mother, "This spirit wants his body. When his soul leaves, it tries to take his place." To protect him, Elise sealed Josh's memories and suppressed his ability. Years passed. Josh grew up. He got married. He had 3 children. Everything seemed normal, but evil doesn't forget, because now Josh's son Dalton has inherited the same terrifying ability. They go back to Elise for help, but this time, the spirit is stronger, angrier, and it kills Elise. Now Josh moves his family into his mother's house, hoping to escape the nightmare. But on the very first night, a piano starts playing by itself. Josh's wife, Renai, thinks someone must be downstairs, but when she checks, the room is empty. She walks back upstairs. The piano starts again. Then suddenly, she hears her baby crying. She rushes into the room and freezes. Her infant daughter, only a few months old, is lying on the floor, screaming. She is far too young to climb out of her crib. Now Renai knows. The entity followed them, but Josh doesn't believe her. He thinks she's imagining things. But what if she's not? What if the real danger is not outside the house, but inside Josh himself? Has the demon returned, or was it never gone? And what happens next will change this family forever. Late that night, Dalton suddenly feels that someone is standing near him. Lorraine is shocked when she hears this. She immediately thinks someone may have broken into the house. She turns around, but no one is there. Still uneasy, she quietly walks into the living room. Everything looks normal, completely silent. Just as she convinces herself it was nothing. A woman in white suddenly walks past her. For a moment, Lorraine thinks it's Renai, but when she follows her, the woman disappears. Lorraine tells herself she must be tired. She heads to take some medication, but then, in the mirror, she clearly sees a woman standing in the doorway behind her. Lorraine quickly turns around. A sudden gust of wind slams the door shut. Her heart races. She carefully opens the door and finds Josh standing there. Josh confidently tells her no one else is in the house. Lorraine tries to believe him. But the next morning, Dalton tells his mother he had a nightmare. In his dream, Grandma came to visit him, and there was also a strange woman in white inside his room. Then Dalton says something disturbing. He says he left his body and saw his father in the hallway, talking to someone, but no one was there. Since Renai doesn't know that Josh and Dalton can astral project, she assumes it was just a bad dream. But she won't think that for long, because later that day, when she is alone in the house, she sees the woman in white. The woman is sitting quietly on the couch. Slowly, she stands up and walks toward the baby's room. She enters and locks the door. Renai is left outside. Then she hears something terrifying, an angry scream, and her baby crying. Panicking, Renai slams her shoulder against the door until it finally bursts open. But inside, no baby, no woman. They are gone. Suddenly, she hears her baby crying downstairs. Renai runs down. From that moment on, everyone in the house, except Josh, accepts that something evil has returned. Determined to stop it, Lorraine calls Elise's 2 assistants and her psychic friend, Carl. Carl uses a spirit communication method. He asks questions and receives answers through letters. Soon, they manage to contact Elise's spirit. They ask her, "Who is the woman in white?" But instead of a name, they receive the name of an abandoned hospital. Carl is confused, but Lorraine goes silent because she knows that hospital very well. She used to work there. That same night, Lorraine and Carl go to the abandoned hospital. As they walk past one of the rooms, Carl feels an overwhelming sense of anger and darkness. Lorraine recognizes the room immediately. It was an intensive care unit. A patient named Parker once stayed there. She remembers him clearly because years ago, she brought young Josh into that very room. When Parker saw Josh, he suddenly went insane and tried to attack him. A few days later, Lorraine saw Parker in the elevator. She greeted him politely, but later that day, she learned something horrifying. Parker had jumped off the roof that morning. He was already dead, which means the man she saw in the elevator was not alive. It was his ghost. Now the question becomes, what is the connection between Parker and the woman in white? To find the truth, they follow the address listed in Parker's file, and what they are about to discover will change everything. They arrive at Parker's house, but something immediately feels wrong. Parker was a grown man, yet his bedroom looks like it belongs to a little girl. Pink walls, dolls everywhere, a vanity mirror. It's disturbing. While the two assistants are whispering about how strange it is, they suddenly notice something. There's a doll sitting on the bed. It wasn't there before. And then the doll speaks. Leave now. The assistants don't argue. They turn around and walk out immediately. Moments later, they discover a hidden room. What they find inside is horrifying. More than a dozen dead bodies, hidden, rotting. Next to them is a box filled with old newspapers. The headlines talk about a serial killer known as the Black Bride. According to the reports, she wore a black wedding dress, covered her face, and murdered without mercy. Among the bodies, there's a doll dressed exactly like that killer. Carl grabs the doll and performs a psychic reading, and suddenly, he sees the truth. The Black Bride was Parker himself, and the woman in white, she was his mother, a deeply disturbed woman who forced Parker to dress like a girl as a child. She made him wear dresses, she made him act like someone else, and eventually, she manipulated him into killing. Parker never had a normal childhood, so when he saw young Josh, a boy who could leave his body, he became obsessed. If Josh could leave his body, Parker could take it. That's why he attacked him back then, and that's why Parker killed himself days later. Not to escape life, but to become a spirit, to steal Josh's body. When Carl reveals this, Lorraine feels her heart sink. Josh's strange behavior recently, the cold stares, the anger, the distance. Could it be that Parker already took over? And the terrifying truth is, yes, the moment Josh entered the spirit world to save his son, Parker took his body. Meanwhile, Renai regains consciousness. She tells her husband that the house is haunted again. She explains how the woman in white attacked her, but Josh dismisses it. He says it's just her imagination. Then suddenly, the piano downstairs starts playing again. They both walk into the room. Silence. The music stops. Then Renai has an idea. She sits down and plays the exact melody she heard earlier. Josh freezes. His reaction is wrong. Too wrong. That's the moment Renai starts to doubt him. Josh quickly makes an excuse and leaves the room, but once they're gone, the real Josh appears. His spirit, standing by the piano. He's been there all along. He was playing that melody, a song only he and Renai know, trying to warn her. The man in the house is not him. The next morning, Lorraine rushes home and tells Renai the full truth. Parker has possessed Josh. Thinking back to her husband's strange behavior, Renai believes her instantly. She grabs the children and leaves. Carl enters the house with a sedative, pretending Lorraine sent him, but something feels off. Since he walked in, Josh has kept his left hand hidden behind his back. Carl knows. He throws his spirit tool to get confirmation. The answer appears, knife. Josh drops the act. He pulls out a knife and attacks Carl. They struggle violently. The assistants hear everything through a listening device and rush inside to help. But this is no longer Josh. One assistant is knocked unconscious. The other is stabbed with a sedative and collapses. When Carl wakes up, he's no longer in the house. He's in the spirit world. And standing in front of him is the real Josh, trapped, waiting. Carl realizes something terrifying. He's dead. Fake Josh killed him. Now, if they want to stop Parker and his mother, there's only one option left. They need Elise. Meanwhile, in the real world, fake Josh uses Carl's phone to text Lorraine that everything is handled. It's a trap. Back in the spirit world, Josh and Carl search desperately for Elise. Suddenly, they see a wandering spirit about to attack Josh's daughter. Without hesitation, Josh charges forward. He fights the spirit, but he's completely overpowered. And then, a lantern lights up the darkness. Elise appears. With one powerful strike, she sends the spirit flying. Even in death, Elise is still the master of the spirit world. After learning that Parker has taken Josh's body, she immediately forms a plan. Cut off the head of the snake. If they destroy Parker's mother, the source of his rage, Parker will disappear too. But there's a problem. Only one person knows where she's hiding. Josh, before his memories were sealed. So they travel back in time to the night Elise hypnotized young Josh. Josh kneels in front of his younger self and asks where the room is. The child slowly stands and points to a nearby door. They walk inside. At the end of the hallway, a red door. Heavy, silent, waiting. Josh opens it. Inside, he sees the truth. Young Parker, being abused by his mother, forced into dresses, punished for the smallest mistakes, controlled, broken. His childhood wasn't evil. It was destroyed. But then, Parker's mother turns her head. She can see them, and suddenly, she grabs Josh by the throat. Back in the real world, fake Josh realizes he's been exposed. He chases Renai and Lorraine through the house. They hide in the basement. He breaks the door down. He's about to reach them. At that exact moment, in the spirit world, Elise lifts a chair and slams it into Parker's mother. One final blow, she vanishes, and instantly, Parker's spirit disappears too. The possession is broken. The real Josh finally returns to his body. Everything goes silent. Elise turns to Carl. "You're not dead," she tells him. "You're in a coma. Go back." Carl awakens in the real world, safe. In the end, Josh makes a final decision. He and his son will be hypnotized again. They will seal their ability to leave their bodies forever. No more spirit world. No more red doors. Or so they think, because somewhere that red door still exists, and whatever's behind it isn't finished. Outro, 10 to 12 sec, high retention style. If this story gave you chills, hit like. If you love dark movie breakdowns like this, subscribe now. And trust me, the next one, it's even darker.